A major reset appears to be underway in one of the world's most powerful bilateral relationships. The United States has sent a clear signal to New Delhi. India sits at the center of Washington's global strategy, and fresh momentum is building on trade, technology, and critical supply chains. The new United States ambassador to India, Sergio Gor, formally took charge on Monday and immediately underlined the scale of the relationship, calling the India-US ties as the most consequential global partnership of this century.
All over the world with President Trump, and I can attest that his friendship with Prime Minister Modi is real. The United States and India are bound not just by shared interest, but by a relationship anchored at the highest levels. Real friends can disagree, but always resolve their differences in the end.
Within hours of assuming office, Sergio Gor also confirmed that trade negotiators from both countries will hold talks on Tuesday this week.
Many of you have asked me for an update on the ongoing trade deal negotiations. Both sides continue to actively engage. In fact, the next call on trade will occur tomorrow. Remember, India is the world's largest nation, so it's not an easy task to get this across the finish line, but we are determined to get there.
Gor said trade is a vital pillar of the relationship, even as cooperation deepens in other strategic areas, including security, counterterrorism, energy, technology, education, and health. And in a significant strategic development, the ambassador also announced that India will be invited next month to join Pax Silica as a full member. Pax Silica is a US-led coalition aimed at securing critical minerals and strengthening the global silicon and semiconductor supply chain. This initiative already includes Japan, South Korea, the United Kingdom, and Israel, and spans everything from rare earths and energy inputs to advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and logistics. Sergio Gor described India as an indispensable partner in American foreign policy, stating that no country plays a more essential role in Washington's long-term strategic thinking. His remarks appear to have made an impact on the financial markets here in India, with Indian equities recovering from early losses as the Sensex and Nifty steadied on hopes of renewed engagement. The comments also come days after criticism from the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick over alleged delays by India in finalizing a trade deal. Gor reiterated that both countries remain actively engaged in negotiations, guided by what American leaders have described as a renewed push for reciprocity, fairness, and shared security. India and the United States have completed 6 rounds of trade talks and had earlier aimed to conclude an agreement by the fall of 2025. New Delhi has also pledged to narrow the $47 billion goods trade gap by increasing imports of U.S. energy and defense equipment. Now, with the new ambassador in place and dialogue restarting, attention now turns to whether diplomacy can deliver tangible outcomes, reduce trade barriers, and restore momentum to one of the world's most influential partnerships. It's said that you can't buy happiness, but you can buy tea, and that's kind of the same thing. Global fashion brand Prada seems to have taken this quite literally, because after the Indian Kolhapuri chappal, now they've come up with a Desi chai fragrance. The Italian luxury house has launched a new unisex perfume called Infusion the Santal Chai, inspired by India's most beloved drink, which is a steaming cup of elaichi or cardamom tea. The scent promises warmth in a bottle, blending cardamom spice, creamy chai, sandalwood, and soft musks with a hint of citrus. Even the packaging feels familiar, dressed in earthy browns that mirror the color of freshly brewed tea. This latest Prada chai perfume comes in an engravable bottle, giving it a sophisticated touch. But not everyone is sipping this quietly. Social media is divided. Some are delighted by the idea of smelling like chai, while others are questioning the cultural borrowing, especially when the price for a 100 ml cup of tea comes in at about $190 or about 17,000 rupees in Indian currency. Prada has flirted with what it calls inspiration from India earlier as well, although not without controversy. In 2025, the brand faced backlash for its exorbitantly priced footwear, which resembled India's Kolhapuri chappals, leading to a case being filed against it in the Bombay High Court, alleging cultural appropriation. And following this outrage, a Prada team had visited India to study the craft. And in December last year, the brand signed a memorandum of understanding with Maharashtra's Litcom and Karnataka's Litkar. From chappals to chai, Prada's Indian inspirations are clearly brewing more than just perfume. Our next story should set off alarm bells in every Indian household, especially those with elderly parents and relatives. An elderly non-resident Indian couple has allegedly been defrauded of a staggering 14 crore rupees. The police are calling it a case of offline fraud involving so-called digital arrest. According to the Delhi police, the fraud took place over more than 2 weeks and between the 24th of December till the 9th of January. The victims being systematically manipulated, intimidated and coerced through a series of phone calls. The 77-year-old NRI woman received the first call from a person who was impersonating as a TRI official. The caller claimed her mobile number was linked to offensive and abusive calls, which is a tactic designed to create immediate fear and confusion. And what followed was a textbook digital arrest scam. Under the pretext of a verification process, the callers allegedly told the couple that their funds had to be temporarily transferred to accounts provided by the police, after which the money would be sent to the Reserve Bank of India for assessment and clearance. Over multiple calls, the fraudsters shared several bank account details and persuaded this couple to transfer large sums via RTGs. Trusting the authority of the voices on the other end of the line, the couple complied, eventually transferring a total of 14 crore rupees by the 9th of January. This deception did not end here. On the same morning, the callers informed the woman that the so-called verification was complete. They even provided what they claimed was an RBI reference number and asked her to visit the nearest police station to collect the money. It was only then that the couple realized that they had been duped. The woman has since lodged a complaint with the National Cybercrime Helpline at 1930 and has sought time to submit a detailed written complaint in the presence of her lawyer. The Delhi police have confirmed that an FIR has already been registered by the IFSO unit and that the case will be handled by the cybercrime wing for a prompt investigation.
तो मैं उसने बोला मैम आपके साथ फ्रॉड हुआ है, एसएचओ ने मेरे को बोला। तब एक डॉन की हमारे साथ फ्रॉड हुआ है, तो मैं कहती हूँ भगवान का शुक्र है कि उन्होंने एटलीस्ट भेजा है पुलिस स्टेशन पे, नहीं तो हम बैठे रहते कि आरबीआई से पैसा आता जाएगा।
But this case is not an isolated incident. Citizens are being targeted in a surge of digital arrest frauds across the country. In March last year, an 86-year-old woman in Mumbai was cheated out of over 20 crore rupees by fraudsters posing as officials. Just a few months later, in July, a woman doctor in Gandhinagar was blackmailed into handing over 19 crore rupees under the threat of fake legal action. In September, a retired banker in Delhi lost 23 crore rupees to highly sophisticated digital fraud. And in November, fraudsters in Mumbai siphoned off 58 crore rupees from a businessman impersonating as CBI and ED officials to pull off the scam. Then in December, a 71-year-old man in Hyderabad was swept up in a digital arrest scam, losing 1.92 crore rupees before cybercrime police were able to arrest the 3 accused. The pattern is now impossible to ignore. Cybercriminals are weaponizing fear, authority and technology, targeting the elderly, isolating them through threats of arrest and bleeding them dry before they can verify a single claim. So tonight on Gravitas, we're leaving you with a few simple rules to stay safe from digital arrest scams. Do not transfer money on unsolicited calls. Verify all callers. never share OTPs or bank details, and report suspicious calls immediately. Because one phone call, one moment of panic can wipe out a lifetime of your savings. So do stay alert. Let's get you an update from Japan now, where the country has launched a deep-sea mining mission as it steps up efforts to reduce dependence on China for rare earth minerals. A government-backed research vessel has departed for Minamitori Island, which is about 1,900 kilometers southeast of Tokyo. This, remember, comes as China's banned certain dual-use exports to Japan's military and is weighing broader rare earth restrictions. The month-long mission will attempt for the first time globally to continuously lift rare earth-rich mud from the seabed at a depth of about 6 kilometers. Japan has invested around 40 billion yen, which is roughly $250 million, in the project since 2018. While estimated reserves and production targets remain undisclosed, the trial marks Japan's first attempt to source rare earths domestically. For heavy rare earths used in electric and hybrid vehicle motors, Japan remains almost entirely dependent on China, making this project strategically significant.
China halted its supply of rare earths during the 2010 Senkaku Islands dispute, and it appears that a similar situation may occur again this time. Therefore, the government is working closely with the United States, Australia, and Europe to diversify procurement sources and to ensure that we do not become overly dependent on any single country.
Now, despite past diversification, China still supplies about 60% of Japan's rare earth needs, which is down from 90% back in 2010, after a previous export halt. The Minamitori project is a long-term play, with a full-scale mining trial planned for 2027 if the current tests succeed. High costs have long made seabed mining uneconomical, but prolonged supply disruptions could change that calculus.
If Japan can actually produce key rare earths, especially heavy rare earths, at Minamitori, it could export them to other countries. That would give Japan a very important strategic position. So this could be both a business opportunity and something that could strengthen Japan's overall bargaining power.
Months after Nepal's youth helped topple a corrupt government, they're now stepping forward once again, this time to serve on the front lines of democracy. In Nepal's capital city of Kathmandu, hundreds of young people queued up to join the temporary police force ahead of March elections. Authorities are recruiting temporary police officers to help maintain security during the voting, the first election since mass protests brought down the previous government. Take a look.
अब काम साम केही पनि छैन अलिअलि भयो नि खर्च होस् निर्वाचन राम्ररी होस् सकेको आफूले पनि हेल्प गर्न सकौं भनेर आफ्नो तर्फबाट पनि केही हेल्प होस्
म आफै बेरोजगारी भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अहिले सरकारले चाहिँ यो भ्याकेन्सी एनाउन्समेन्ट गरेको खबर पाएछ अनि त्यही कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ म देशको लागि केही सेवा गर्छु भन्ने हेतु